This is a story of villains trying to save the world from an invasion by a gigantic starfish. They are sent to a small island where it was run by military and greedy government officials. Terrorism and massacre were done for the sake of their hidden weapon, the starfish. The alien starfish is meant to be released in America and destroy the country by getting possessed by the little starfish that came from the bigger one. The fate of Earth lies in the hands of these villains. Are they still called villains, or are they heroes? How will they save the Earth? Let's find out as we watch the movie Suicide Squad. The story begins with Brian Durland, also known as Savant, playing with his ball with precise, accurate targets. He even uses the ball to hit the canary bird indirectly by bouncing it around the wall. A few moments later, he was visited by Amanda Waller, who led the mission for the Suicide Squad. Waller assigns him to be part of the Suicide Squad and undergo a certain process to take an explosion device on the base of his skull so they can keep him in touch with them. Once he doesn't oblige in the mission, they won't hesitate to kill them. Waller explains that once the mission is complete, his sentence will be reduced by 10 years. After a few minutes, they met up with Colonel Rick Flag. Rick Flag then shows Savant with his teammates in this mission, the rest of the Suicide Squad. Consisting of Blackguard, Captain Boomerang, Weasel, Mungle, Javelin, the Detachable Kid/TDK, and Harley Quinn, who was late because she had to go to the bathroom. But they are not the only squad sent out on the mission. Waller was interested in recruiting Bloodsport. This merciless mercenary was in prison for putting Superman in the ICU after hitting him with a kryptonite bullet. Bloodsport refuses to help Waller and Suicide Squad. However, her 16-year-old daughter, Taylor, is a robber that can potentially be in prison for stealing. She visited her father, Bloodsport, to inform her that she had stolen something. Bloodsport advised her what she needed to do when stealing next time rather than telling her not to. Taylor made it clear to him that he was a bad father. After the heated family argument, Bloodsport immediately went to Waller to talk to her and threatened to release her daughter to prison. After that, they made a deal that Bloodsport needed to participate in her mission and release her daughter to prison. After Bloodsport agreed to be the second squad's leader, they met his other team, Christopher Smither or Peacemaker, a patriarch mercenary trained by his military father that taught him how to kill. Next is the King Shark, the underwater prince and a descendant of the ancient shark god who desires human meat. The other one is Cleocazo, the rat catcher too, who can control rats nearby. She also has a rat friend named Sebastian. The last team member is Abner Krill, or Polka Dot Man, a man with a rare genetic condition whose specialty is flinging weaponized polka dots. After that, Waller gathered them all in a conference room to discuss the mission. Their mission will take place in Corto Maltese, a small island off the coast of South America. And over 100 years, the island has been ruled by the Herrera family. But about a week before, the nation was overthrown by a tyrant named Silvio Luna and his right-hand man, General Mateo Suarez, after they executed the presidential family. Underground, Project Dr. Gaius Greaves / the Thinker can lead the squad to Jotunheim, where they can destroy whatever exists inside. Therefore, they aim to locate him so the squad can enter Jotunheim and destroy him. After the presentation, Waller asked the squad if they had any further questions. The Ratcatcher asked her about the weird-looking machine on the side of the stage, an overhead projector. After that, Peacemaker asks another unnecessary question clarifying that the squad wasn't paying attention. A few days have passed, and it's time to execute their mission. First Squad is gathered in an airplane, ready for their first mission. Gathering various criminals in one room will be chaos. That's what the conversation between the squads is before they arrive at the ocean near the coast of Corto Maltese. Upon arriving, they must jump into the ocean as they find their way to the beach to sneak into the enemy's lair. However, the Weasel cannot swim and eventually drown. Savant was the only one who helped, but unfortunately, the Weasel was already dead when they arrived at the beach. The mission must go on, so Savant left the Weasel behind. The squad is slowly making their way to the beach as they are ready to attack them. But for an unknown reason, Blackguard yelled at the enemy, exposing their coordinates and mission. Blackguard also mentioned that he contacted the enemy, which confused everyone. Later, Blackguard was still considered an enemy and was shot in the face, eliminating him on the spot. The enemy of Corto Maltese started to open fire as the squad fought back. Rick Flag asked for a retreat, but Waller denied it, so they must fight against the enemy. Mongol fought back as she swung by the plane and killed half of the enemy, her teammate Boomer, and herself from the fire. Everything went wrong for them, and only Harley, Flag, and Savant were left. However, Savant cannot handle the mission emotionally and mentally, so he fled away. Waller had to blow his head off because he was going far from the mission. Besides that, Rick Flag was running through the forest, trying to contact Waller, but later met a group of the unknown military that also kept him captive. Meanwhile, the second squad led by Bloodsport had arrived without causing such chaos. They heard explosions and gunfire on the other end of the island caused by the first squad. The first squad turns out to be just a diversion, so the second squad can move freely without dealing with the enemy. Peacemaker and Bloodsport argued as they moved and hid in the island's forest. They camped out for the night, and while they were sleeping, something strange happened to the Polka Dot Man and King Shark trying to eat the Ratcatcher. Bloodsport shot King Shark for trying to kill his teammate. Ratcatcher cannot believe he was nearly eaten until her rat friend tells her. Ratcatcher then threatens King Shark by calling other rats in the forest, but Bloodsport turns out to be phobic about rats, so she has to return them for his sake. Ratcatcher then makes a deal with King Shark and clarifies to him that they are friends and friends don't eat each other. This surprisingly worked, and they stood by while waiting for further instructions. Meanwhile, on the other side of the beach, Harley Quinn went to the dying Javelin to check up on him. Javelin gave his weapon to Harley because, according to him, only Harley was worthy to carry it. A few minutes later, one of the programmers, John Economos, found the enemy's point somewhere in the forest. Without wasting any time, Waller informed Squad 2 and gave him the coordinates, which they moved into action immediately. Dusk has come, and the sun rises. They are instructed to terminate everyone they see, but before Squad 2 recklessly charges, they devise a strategy to take down all men without getting noticed. They silently attack, with King Shark having the first kill and meal. After moving and eliminating half of the men, Peacemaker and Bloodsport compete for who uses the weapon more efficiently and show off what their modified weapons can do, but both turn out to be good at their field. Not only do they get to show off their ability, but also the Polka Dot Man that throws polka dot at people in a lethal way. He admits that he doesn't want to kill people, but if he imagines them as his mom, it makes it easy. Afterward, they move towards the hut, which they assumed was their leader's resting area. They opened the curtain but were surprised to see Colonel Rick Flag getting aided by the leader. Rick was surprised to see Bloodsport, and for his defense, he explained that he got an order from Waller that Rick was there. Rick then introduced the squad to Sol Soria, the leader of the resistance army that is trying to take down the government and take back their country, and as someone who saved Rick's life. By that, the squad put down their guard and was at ease. But Sol Soria was more concerned about why her people didn't inform her of their arrival. It got awkward quickly. They felt bad for wiping out her men. Sol Soria was saddened to see the dead bodies of her men across the camp. Rick can't do anything to defend them but assures her that their objective is aligned with hers. Rick further explained that they needed her help to enter the city. But Sol Soria's attention was fixated on Sebastian, the rat waving at her. Later, Sol Soria agreed to help them just for the sake of the country and her people. Meanwhile, inside the Corto Maltese, the Thinker met up with the president and the other officials to investigate Thinker's project and stuff. But he cannot do anything or oppose them, or his brain will take a bullet. One of the officials asks which side Thinker is on, but the president, Silvio Luna, calmed him down and asked the Thinker about the starfish in the tape. As they watched the clip, Thinker explained that it was the Project Starfish to whom he dedicated his 30 years studying its behavior and traits. In the tape, they see Americans trapping the being and aboard it inside the ship without knowing anything about it. A few minutes later, something from the starfish's side looked like it had given birth. Except, it was an extension of itself that attaches to a human and uses them as a host that will become part of the starfish. It feeds through consciousness and grows larger and more powerful over time. Silvio Luna grew interested in the project and asked Thinker where it was, to which the answer was at the Jotunheim. The president and the other officials visited the building to see the starfish with their own eyes. With this, the vice president Matteo encourages the president that they should use it as a weapon to take over America and destroy them. But the president has other visions, including the world. Even the big league will take them seriously. The Thinker agrees with his vision, but warns him that nobody can control it within his 30 years of study. Silvio scoffs but welcomes the Thinker as part of the team, where they'll team up to find ways for the starfish to be used as a weapon. Meanwhile, back to Harley Quinn was captured and held captive by the military, trapped in a deep hole. But as she was ranting, the soldiers gave her a dress and gave her makeup as they drove to the president's house. Harley is welcomed like a princess in the mansion before she is accompanied by the colonel to meet up with Silvio. Silvio shows interest in Harley due to her rebellion against the American government and the oppression of norms. This compliment flustered Harley and left her speechless. Silvio was straightforward with Harley without giving her time to think as he invited her to join him for lunch. They had a good time during lunch. He even showed her his dome full of birds. Night came, and Silvio frankly asked her to marry him before proceeding to have a hot night. After they are finished, Silvio talks to Harley about his plan with the Project Starfish and how he can destroy anyone that will mess up with the country, even if they are innocent people who would be sent to Jotunheim to feed the beast. But suddenly, Harley shot Silvio without even thinking twice. She explained that if she was going to have another boyfriend, it would be someone who doesn't kill innocent people for their benefit. Silvio took his last breath before the army barged into the room and captured Harley to torture her. Later that night, Squad 2 are also on the move entering the city. They disguise themselves to blend in with the civilians with the help of Milton, one of Sol Soria's associates. To find Thinker, the squad will be accompanied by Milton to a pub named La Gatita Amable. As they are driving, Ratcatcher questions Bloodsport about why he is scared of rats, because Bloodsport always shrinks back around Sebastian because of his phobia. However, according to her, she sees the good in Bloodsport but pity him about getting scared of something harmless. Bloodsport said his father once punished him with rats, which ultimately caused his phobia. After that, Ratcatcher shares her answer to his question about why she is attracted to rats by saying that her father, Ratcatcher 1, taught her how to control them while treating them like family. However, he was a heroin addict who overdosed when she was a young girl. Bloodsport and Ratcatcher make a pact to see the other through to the other side alive. The group arrives at the bar, but King Shark must remain there because he stands out. While waiting for Thinker to arrive, they spent their time partying and drinking. As soon as they spotted him, they got in position and captured him. But since they know Americans are present, the military enters to search everyone. Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man is sent outside with Thinker per Bloodsport's order. After that, Bloodsport with Peacemaker and Rick are all taken inside the military van to be held captive. A few moments later, their van is forced off the road, and the three take down the gunman on the highway and kill the driver. Thinker shows up with Ratcatcher and King Shark in tow. In the meantime, Suarez's men are torturing Harley, but she refuses to cooperate. She snaps his neck with her legs and frees herself when left alone with the guard before getting her hands on some blades and javelin. Harley kills Suarez's security guards with a javelin weapon and whoever stops her way before she appears and joins them. Flag and the others were outside ready to rescue Harley, but it turns out Harley can do it without their help. After uniting with Harley, they capture Thinker and give him the order to lead them into Jotunheim. The moment they entered the Jotunheim, they planted bombs all over the place to destroy the building. They split into two. Rick, Flag, and Ratcatcher will go with Thinker, and the rest will be led by Bloodsport to destroy the rest of the building. After that, Thinker leads Rick to the creature they're looking for, which he refers to as Stero, the Conqueror. Also, Stero emits smaller starfish that cling to people's faces and take over their bodies like zombies. The facility is also littered with the corpses of Stero's past victims and experiments regarding the starfish. In the biggest glass of the room, there lies the gigantic starfish. Thinker also exposed that the American government, who has been discreetly funding Corto Maltese for years, was behind the tests with Stero. The squad wasn't sent there to save the world, but to cover the American government from its illegal experiments in Jotunheim. A few moments later, Peacemaker came in. Rick was confused since he was supposed to be with Bloodsport. Rick was angry because he was deployed just to be a puppet. To follow Waller's orders, Peacemaker turns against Flag as he tries to secure the hard disk containing proof against the American administration to be given to the media. Rick cannot let Peacemaker hide the evidence from the world, so they fight for the drive. Flag almost chokes Peacemaker to death during their struggle, but Peacemaker manages to stab Flag in the heart with a shard of a broken sink. As Ratcatcher notices it, he seizes the flash drive as Peacemaker tries to kill her. Meanwhile, Bloodsport, Harley, and Polka Dot Man struggle to survive the collapsing facility, while King Shark discovers a little fish creature in an aquarium that imitates him. But when their aquarium breaks as the building collapses, they start to leech onto him. Bloodsport makes it through several stories until he lands and sees Peacemaker planning to kill Ratcatcher. The two mercenaries pull their weapons and fire at one another. Bloodsport's bullet pierces Peacemaker's and hits him in the throat, knocking him to the ground. As the whole Jotunheim collapses, King Shark stumbles outside and is shot by Suarez's men, but he gets up and bites one of the attackers in the head before the rest of the squad flees the building as Stero storms in. More starfish are released and possesses Suarez and his soldiers as it advances into the city. The remaining team members wish to save the city, but Waller proclaims the mission to be done because the proof has been erased. Waller threatens Bloodsport that she'll explode their brains if they don't listen, but Waller's subordinate, Flo Crawley, hits her head, knocking her unconscious. The subordinates then guide the squad for a better route to take down Stero. They go to action as King Shark proceeds to nom nom on the alien and begins to chomp into it as Bloodsport starts to blast away at Stero. Polka Dot Man unleashes his polka dots to burn Stero's leg after imagining Stero as his mother. But before they could celebrate their proper attack, Polka Dot Man was smashed by one of Stero's legs. Ratcatcher tries to summon the rats with the help of her beacon, but Bloodsport moves her aside to save her from being killed. Next, using the beacon, she assembles nearly every rat in the city to kill the infected people and begin the hunt for Stero. Harley also charges into it with the javelin and penetrates through Stero's eyes as well, as the rats eventually gain access to Stero's eye and take him down from within, killing it and sparing the city. This killed Stero slowly, but before it fell unconscious, the possessed vice president made their last words that there was more outside the Earth, staring from the stars. News reporters introduced the citizens, showing the media they were happy to gain democracy again. That's when Tyla saw her father and felt proud, and praised her father as a hero after seeing the squad's bravery on the news. As we approach the end, the aftermath of the war, Ratcatcher 2 is saddened by the loss of Polka Dot Man as Bloodsport contacts Waller and blackmails her into revealing the lab's proof to the media unless she releases the team and Tyla. She agrees grudgingly and requests that the chopper bring them home. In the chopper, Sebastian climbs up Bloodsport's leg when the team takes a break, and he starts petting a rat, trying to accept rats into his life again.